Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampaadhrita Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidyam Tam Ramakrishnam Sirsha Namam. Namaste everyone and welcome to our study of the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying chapter 13. So far, in about more than 20 classes, we have covered all the sutras, all the verses of chapter 13. Chapter 13 is titled Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, the yoga of the discrimination between the knower and the known. The known is this whole objective world fed to us by the senses, and the world, internal world, the world in our mind, thoughts, ideas, emotions, including the ego. But behind this whole creation, both internal and external, there is the highest reality, which is pure consciousness, whom we define or describe by the word Brahman, Father in heaven, God, the Supreme, Absolute. Different words, descriptions are there to indicate that infinite ocean of consciousness, which is of the nature of infinite existence, knowledge, bliss, peace, beauty, purity, goodness, and all wonderful things that we all desire deeply in our own hearts. And the reason is that we are waves out of that ocean. In a wave state, we are limited. As the ocean, we are unlimited. Deep inside, in the heart of that wave, is an idea that it belongs to that ocean and it wants to recover that supreme glory. But in ignorance, it tries to do it in a wrong way by grabbing and associating and linking with material things, subjective world, not internally, subjectively. So when we have self-realization or God realization, it is not that something new we will acquire. It is Nitya Siddha. That means it's always within us. It's just that we have forgotten it and we're not looking in the right place. So to correct our search, we're still going to search for happiness, we're still going to search for knowledge, we're still going to search for peace, freedom, and all those things. But instead of seeking them out in the ever-changing material external world, ever-changing means Jagat. Jagat means that is constantly changing in time, space, and causation. We are going to now, in a more enlightened way, and that's the wisdom that comes out of the scriptures and the Bhagavad Gita, in a more enlightened way, look for it or search for it within us. To do that, we have to re-engineer the way we approach the truth. It is not something that we will see with our eyes or hear with our ears. This outgoing flow of energy through the senses, which constantly dissipates and drains us and makes us enervated, so to say, drained out, that has to be arrested, stopped, restrained, put the dam that's making the water flow to the ocean. And when that energy is harnessed, the dam fills up. We have to use the right technology, so to say, to convert that stored water into electricity. Or in this case, we have to use the technology of yoga. That means that energy that is saved from going out is now to be refined, purified, and turned around to reflect the truth that is within us. In that pure mind, we will see a reflection, which will be the reflection of our own higher self. And we may approach in whichever way we want, according to our own conception, spiritual orientation. If you want to see him as Krishna, he will reveal himself as Krishna, as Rama, as Christ, as Buddha, as the absolute, whatever. It's the way the mind wants to grasp it. That's how the truth will reveal itself. Itself, it is nameless and formless, but it can take any name and form according to the constitution and the disposition of the mind of the spiritual seeker. So a little bit of re-education is necessary about how we are seeking the highest truth. And in this Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, we have understood that somehow the knower, which is the consciousness within us, has become entangled with the known, which is the material, ever-changing world. And to separate or to free us That's why it's called vibhaga. You have to free us because it has got caught. The Purusha has got caught in Prakriti, and now it has to do this disengagement and separation, and then it will abide in its own infinite glory. Because Prakriti, in different ways, whether at the mental level, emotional level, or physical level, successively covers the glory of the Atman. And the more covered it is, the less of that inner light shines out. Having understood that, so when you sit for your meditation and japa, that should be sort of line of thinking you should set up. In this half an hour or 1 hour, I'm going to attempt to, to turn this mind around, to arrest its outgoing flow and focus it to that wonderful being or power that is within me. And I want to experience that, not just to know about it. Because when knowing is an intellectual gymnastics, it creates a certain types of thoughts and ideas. It's good in the beginning, it counters the outgoing ideas, but at some point we are going to try to pacify the mind. The mind is like a lake, so many waves are there, all those out external input agitate the mind. Too much intellectual understanding, gymnastics, and all those things sometimes are more disturbing. At some point, after all this study and all this, you'll say, enough is enough. I can understand so much through my intellect. But that is not what I want. I want to experience the truth. And at that time, one doesn't try to use this limited intellect to grasp the infinite. It says, let it subside, and you want to resonate with that being, that power. That resonance is what is called bhakti. Okay, that is, you are trying to tune yourself to that energy. And at some, when you have succeeded in that, then that perfect flow of that energy from the divine flows into us, and we can experience that. It's difficult to explain because it's not an intellectual thing, but definitely it's more powerful because it's an experience thing, it's anubhuti. So that is the wonderful possibility in a human being compared to other creations. And life is meaningful and purposeful if we commit ourselves to that highest quest and work onto that. And we have to do that because that's what we are all born for, whether we do it in this lifetime or so many other lifetimes. So that being a little introduction, now that we are going through these chapters and a bit of a revision, I will bring those notes up. And we were looking at around the verses 7 onwards. I think from 7 to 11, Sri Krishna takes some time out and talks about what he defines as gyan, knowledge. It's not an intellectual knowledge, but these are disciplines to be practiced. And there's a whole lot of them. Maybe if you list them, maybe 20 of those qualities are there. What one should do after all this study is pick up some of them, think deeply what they mean, and then reflect how we would be able to apply them in different situations, you might say. Uh, each one will have to do it in their own way because our own lives are different. You work in different places, you relate with different people, you have different challenges. Some of those things would be very nice, and you say, okay, this is very good. I should be able to apply that. That type of some sort of introspection, reflection, analysis is necessary so that when that situation comes, you had thought about it here and say, here's an opportunity for us to do something about that. It's all about applying these things. Only then they become fruitful. Otherwise, it's just so much knowledge we'll carry in our heads. We might become philosophers, we might become pundits, we might know all those things. But at the end of the day, it might be like a donkey carrying so much sandalwood. It doesn't get the fragrance out of it. So we should not get into that. So now today, what I propose is we'll go through this. We have discussed this a little bit, but at each stage, let's have some discussion and share with us, with others. They're all known people here only. What do you think could be an ideal situation or some situation or where we can apply this? So the first one is amanitvam. Try to understand why that particular quality is being is prescribed. So the first one is humility, not boasting about ourselves. Why would Sri Krishna take that as the first condition? That one should be humble in spiritual life. So what I'm going to do is now unmute all of you. Oh, I'm asking you to unmute you all. So please, and let's start. Humility, So its opposite is not being humble. That means you're boasting in so many ways. I'm so knowledgeable, I'm so strong, I'm so whatever is there. And Sri Krishna is saying you have to negate that. The ego should not assert yourself. So why does he hit the ego on the first strike? He's talking about humility. Anyone? Hello. Chetan?
Okay, so what you're saying is that you can get a pretty good deal out of it. Okay. So,
Who is this?
Can you repeat the question? You're talking
The
about not
question is,
being.
yeah, so humility is told. Why do you think humility, how would humility or the practice of humility be a good discipline in our spiritual life?
it's part of it. Okay. No, I really need to look at that seriously.
I think it makes us open to learn.
Okay, so there's, okay. Yeah, keep on explaining, keep on talking, yeah.
Open to learn in the sense that we are receptive to other ideas, not fixated about what we are thinking is right.
Mm-hmm. That's good, because if you're not humble about your learning, then you will not listen to somebody else because you know it all type of thing. That's good. But link it, so some of these things would be good socially and all those things, okay, good relationship, but try to think a little deeper from a spiritual point of view.
Yeah, it's 3 years now, but I dropped it. I fell in the damage before.
Guru, your voice is coming in here. Are you talking to us?
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, somebody else? Yes.
Yes, I would like to say, as you said, humility is the Lord is hitting the ego first, because ego is our false image. We think we are so good in that, we are so good in this, but we shouldn't feel so good about it. It is just work, whatever we are good at, it is just doing karma or doing work.
Okay, so let me add a little bit in there. Sri Ramakrishna says, it is the ego that separates the jiva from Shiva, from Jivatma from the Paramatma. And he gives the example that if there's a pond of water and you throw a piece of a stick that is floating on the surface, apparently that stick will divide the water in two parts on the surface. You look. One side becomes the limited jiva, the other side becomes the supreme, Jivatma and Paramatma. So it's only when that ego disappears that the jiva becomes identified and Jivatma becomes with the Paramatma. So when somebody is boastful, arrogant, and all those type of things, then basically he's trying to strengthen and amplify that ego. And therefore, it is spiritually counterproductive, because in true spiritual progress, that ego should become less and less and less. Okay, it should become attenuated type of thing. Yeah.
But how will that happen, Swamiji, in reality, in practically?
Yeah. All right, so that's a good question. And I suppose somebody is very, very egotistic. Why? Because he feels that, okay, I'm the smartest person around, the richest man around, whatever is there. And sometimes you get into a position, so I'm the prime minister of this and that. Oh, my ego. Sri Ramakrishna says the ego, there's a lot of nice, beautiful stories he tells. The ego of money, he says. Once a little frog was living a little in a hole, came out and found that there was a coin. Somebody had dropped a coin next to him. 1 rupee. So he sat on the coin and he felt so proud of the wealth that he had. I am so rich, I have 1 rupee. And at that time, one elephant was passing by and it put his big foot right next to this frog, almost. What did the frog do? It gave a kick to the elephant's leg and said, "How do you dare to come so near to me?" And Sri Ramakrishna says, such is the ego of wealth. The moment you get a bit of money, then you see how people's behavior and demeanor changes. They expect to be respected, they expect to be acknowledged and given the first seat in the line or invited or something. That is the power of money. So in that way, so many types of ego comes. Ego about our knowledge, our position and all those things. And then from a spiritual point of view, they're very, very harmful because all it strengthens this idea that I am this little being. While in spiritual life, it's all about not I, not I. It's about merging the wave into the ocean. So your question is now you say, how do we do this? Can you share some practical ideas where we can knock this ego down a little bit?
That's what I asked you.
Okay, we can think about, suppose somebody is rich, okay, and he's got $1 million. Then if he reasons in this way, there's so many people far richer than me. I might have 1 million, somebody has got 5, somebody has got 10, somebody has got... The moment you compare yourself with something bigger, then your ego takes a backseat. He says, I'm not the biggest. That's one way you compare yourself with others. But ultimately, if I answer all the questions, then what are you people going to do? So let us ask them. Let me pick Shweta.
Ji, Swamiji. All I can say is the best example of humility is I found when I have been to Hare Krishna temple. They address everyone as Mataji and Prabhuji. So honoring, and the way we say namaste in this Vedanta center, honoring the other soul, and we bow down. So, that's a constant reminder of, of the respecting the supreme in the other. And maybe, just, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. There's some greater higher being in others compared to whom I am also a part of it, but I am not saying ego comes when I think of myself bigger than others. So if I visualize that divine dwells in others also, then in comparison, I become humble. Suppose somebody has got $1 million, he's very proud. Now he's sitting to somebody next to who's got $1 billion. Well, is he proud? He is humble because compared to the other guy, this person has got less. So in that way, if we position the divine in everyone, then we automatically you become the denominator, sort of lesser. Okay, that's good. That's one good one. Who's that? Sadhana?
Swamiji, I just do very simple exercises. Like whenever I achieve anything or somebody praises me, within myself, I chant, I'm not this, I'm not this. So hum. And that's something I've learned and I practice this. And I try not to attach to any praises, anything that I've done. I just keep letting it go and move forward. I just find it it makes me very light. I don't carry anything with me. So I kind of find life more enjoyable when you don't attach yourself to everything that you do.
That's good. Anyone else there?
Swamiji, Chandrasekhar here.
Yes, Chandrasekhar.
One of the things Amanitvam does is to help you become an effective listener. Once you drop your ego, as you very rightly mentioned, as the lady recently mentioned. So when you don't think about yourself, then that is the first point is very important to give your ears. We have 2 ears, so we listen to whatever others say, even though you may have an idea. So we have to stop thinking even about this topic, what we know, what I know about it, rather than what I want to hear. Because then when you're open, then you will be able to absorb what other person is saying. So that is amanitvam, that you should not think too much about yourself. So even if you know the subject, that really is a very important quality, amanitvam.
Okay. Anyone else?
Can I add, Mother?
Okay.
I would say that we should remember that everything is temporary. I may have a lot of wealth, but say a disease comes in, no amount of wealth may cure it sometimes. No amount of wealth may stop that cancer from spreading. It may help in some sense. Everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent. It's going to go away.
Yeah, so basically you have reduced the value of whatever we have to its rightful place, isn't it? When we become egotistic, that means falsely we have given something that's temporary or not so valuable made into a very valuable thing. Now we say that all our accomplishments in this world, our life itself, is only a little flash of lightning in this eternity of time, so to say. It comes and goes. So what is there to be proud of? So much to say. That's good. Okay. So here's another way. Why does this ego come? Because, so if we have this type of equation, so to say, that's a supreme being, okay, that is the perfect I, Paramatma. Here is a bowl of water in which we have that reflection, light coming up here, and this is a little reflected sun. This is the I that we feel. This is the ego. So when the ego understands, doesn't acknowledge the sky, sun in the sky, then he says, I am everything. This is me. So this is the body, this water is the mind, and this is the ego. And this is the individuality. So an egotistic person says, that's me. This is all that it is there. There is no God. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in all those type of things. And therefore, all the achievements that are there of this body, of this mind, in this life and everything, he appropriates to itself. But if with the bit of enlightened state, he says, look, I'm only a reflection of this supreme being. God made man in his own image. There is a higher power, whatever. He brings that entity into his life, his thinking, his perspective. So that relationship can be explained in this way. So that supreme being is the numerator and the lower being is the denominator. That means I'm a part of the supreme being. If the sun in the sky is not there, this reflection sun won't be there. I exist because it exists. Whatever is happening through me, through my intellectual activity or physical activity, is really the power comes from the sun, from the supreme being, which is what Sri Krishna was trying to tell Arjuna. Arjuna had this idea that he's a great warrior and everything will happen because and he'll take credit and discredit for it. But Sri Krishna is saying, no. It is I who reside in the heart of all beings and I'm doing it. So with that perspective, we don't appropriate the credit of whatever we achieve or have achieved to ourselves, but we say, well, it's a blessing of the divine, or I'm only a conduit, I'm only an instrument through which the divine being is doing things. So what's the result of this? Well, if this I here, there's a little bit of mathematics, who don't know mathematics, this is like calculus. In the limit, if I is tending to 0, that results into infinity, isn't it?
Yes.
If the denominator becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, the overall result becomes infinite. And that's what we're trying to achieve. But if we take that numerator out, and the ego is trying to become bigger and bigger, and that's where, so if I is tending to infinity, then I over I becomes 0. And we feel ourselves to be smaller and smaller and smaller. So the more egotistic we become, The more we cut ourselves away off from the greater, and we become little selfish, caught in our own ego, in our and sort of deprived of that infinite energy of the supreme being that is there. So that's why the second thing is, if one is not humble, knowledge doesn't come to that person. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Vinaya, in the another word for humility is Vinaya. A spiritual person is always humble. He might be very learned, like a great spiritual person or a learned person was, I heard somewhere, Newton. He said, when people praised him, he said, I have just collected a few pebbles on this shore of the ocean of knowledge. That's all. Not that I'm most learned people. There's so many things I do not know. And that type of understanding brings in humility. So, is you happy with that? To little bit of discussion on.
One little clarification I would like to have with the example you gave with the big eye and the small eye. If one approaches humility without the knowledge, can there be a situation where it would lead to vulnerability?
You're practicing humility
without the knowledge.
Without the knowledge. Give an example.
Blind belief. One might say, I'm humble, and they might surrender in cases of cult and things like that. They surrender to somebody's other will or whatever. They don't have the knowledge that everyone is the part of Paramatma, and they could become vulnerable.
Those are the risks. So in all these teachings, you find that if you're not have understood it properly, you can misapply them and it can backfire on our spiritual life. So always we have to subjugate ourselves to the highest supreme being, not to any personality. Because whoever you subjugate yourself or become humble to, you're sort of giving control over them to you. You listen, you respond to them, and if they are human beings, whatever they are, gurus, cults, and all those things are there, then we find many people come to grief because they get misled. But if we really surrender to the highest truth, and the truth is the divine in your own self, Remba, that's the one we are trying to. When Sri Krishna is asking Arjuna, you surrender to me, it doesn't mean somebody out there, some person out there. It means that higher power in our own soul. So yeah, all of these teachings you see it's a double-edged, even ahimsa. People say, we'll talk about that when you come to that. Non-violence. If you say, okay, I'm going to non-violence, then yeah, people can take advantage of you, thrash you, hit you, and are you going to turn around and say, I'm practicing non-violence, or are you going to defend yourself? So the question comes there, see all those type of things. How do we practice all those disciplines? Adambhitvam. Adambhitvam, unpretentiousness, not proclaiming one's own virtues. Okay, does that happen, if you're not very careful? That here is means not running after this name and fame, public recognition, validation by the society outside there, looking for their appreciation for what I do. That means if you want to make a big donation in the temple, then if you want some name to be put there in golden letters on the big list so that everyone who comes and sees, because I'm the one who has made a donation, then that's not what is really meant here. I have a little discussion about, you'll see in all of them will be coming around again and again to that ego and this personality, trying to deconstruct this personality, this individuality that we have built, and we try to make bigger and bigger. Actually, it is about making it less and less and less.
Raj, that leads to the thing, I'm better than thou.
Unpretentiousness, not proclaiming one's own virtues. Why would one go about proclaiming one's own virtues? Psychologically, deep inside, if you have something, you have it. But why would you want to talk about it? And
You want to see someone else lesser than you.
In psychology, they may say inferiority complex.
you see, deep inside is there, and you're trying to cover that up, isn't it? If you think about it, somehow I feel I'm not up to that, and now I'm trying to project this to make up for the deficiency or shortcoming. Why do I feel? Because deep inside I'm not aware of, I'm not understanding the infinite glory of the Atman that I already am. And as a wave, I'm trying to make up and recover that wholeness, so to say. Come on, anyone else? The more discussions we have, the better.
Because we are not secure in who we are.
Yes, we are not secure in who we are.
There's
True.
insecurity within us. So we want to.
Good, yeah. Insecure.
We
So
don't realize who we truly are. We forget we are pure consciousness.
if you want to proclaim your virtue, then you should actually proclaim that virtue, isn't it? About the being that you are. Okay. So if one goes around and says, look, I'm a child of the divine. Is there anything wrong with that?
No.
That's a good one, because that's based on the truth, isn't it?
Mm.
One has to be proud in the strength of the divine, the relationship with him. That is fine. Then you're not pretending, actually you're proclaiming the truth. But anything else, then that is about this individual thing. Okay, that's good. Next one comes very interesting, ahimsa. Ahimsa is taught as one of the first Yama and Nema, ahimsa. Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the disciplines. Non-violence. Non-violence, not doing injury to others in thought, word, and deed. Here it does not mean only the physical injury that you might do. You might say something very harsh and it will hurt somebody. Not only at that time, every time that person remembers that, they will feel hurt. Oh, he said such and such thing to me, it was so bad, and he relives that experience. And in thought, you might not even say it, but you think of something that not so nice about somebody. You send out a negative energy around. And energy travels around and affects people and infects people anyway. So ahimsa. So here's a test. Now suppose somebody says ahimsa is to be practiced, and he's going to practice. Suppose a father is there and he's got a family, wife and children. Somebody enters his house, wants to rob him, beat him, and this is a very religious person. So he says, oh, since I'm practicing ahimsa, I should not hurt that person. Would that be practicing ahimsa, or is that how it's to be understood?
No.
No.
Why not?
See, I think the story about the snake and
Snake, yeah. Hiss
yes,
and then don't bite, yeah.
don't bite, and then he's only. I mean, he started doing, and people playing with it, and then throwing. And I think it probably one of the parables. So everyone has got that kind of intellect. To some extent, they should protect to the extent possible. So if it doesn't, and it's not, there's no harm in protecting yourself if somebody is going to harm you.
So here's an example of a case that I will narrate, where you see in Buddhism, ahimsa is a big thing, non-violence. Okay, ahimsa paramo dharma, they say. Don't hurt anyone. In different religions, it's there. In Jains, they go to another extreme, that you should not hurt anything in such a way that, and so while they're working on the street, they will have a broom. They're making sure they're sweeping away any insect or ant that might be there. They eat food before dusk so that in darkness, they might not eat anything that might fall on their food and all that. They went to another extreme. But when the Buddhists were practicing that, this is a couple of centuries back when there was a great university in Nalanda. Thousands of Buddhist scholars were there. And when the Mughals, I think the Mughals or the Genghis Khan, he invaded India. And they came to this great place, a wonderful university, and he captured, and he was surprised, or his commander was surprised that none of these people in any way, fought back. So suddenly he had got 10,000 people as prisoners, and they're not fighting back. So he went to his commander, his leader, and said, "What do I do with these people? If they don't fight back, then you have to keep them as prisoners. You have to feed them and all that." And then he gave the order, "No, you slaughter them." And they were all slaughtered like sheep. Why? Because they were practicing ahimsa. They truly believed that, I would not hit back even if somebody kills me. There's another extreme. In the modern times, Gandhiji also, he preached non-violence and ahimsa, not hitting back when the British were ruling and troubling people in all those ways in there. So you see, when we come to Swami Vivekananda, he says one thing. He said, look, ahimsa is a virtue to be practiced by somebody who is strong. If a strong man is challenged by somebody in the street, and the strong man says, I'm not going to hit back. I can if I want to, but I won't. Then that seems to be uspa shobha deta hai, But if a weak fellow is there, he turns up and says, I'm not going to hit back because I'm practicing ahimsa. Then that's a joke. So when we practice these virtues, it's always not a universal law for everyone. It is to be applied by people according to their situation. And so Swami Vivekananda says, for the weak person, he has to stand up and defend himself. For the strong person, he has to restrain himself and practice ahimsa. It's relative, not absolute. And do you know that particular parable that Shankar was talking about the snake hissing and not biting? All of you?
Yes.
Anyone doesn't know wants me to tell? Okay, you don't know. So, yeah, okay. So the story is that once there were a group of young brahmacharis and his spiritual teacher was teaching them that, no, this is another story. That's another one. This was that in a village, there were a group of cowherd boys, and every day they would take their cows out in the field to graze. And one day they found that in the field, there was a poisonous cobra living in a hole. And the cobra would come out and hiss and chase these boys, and they will run away. And as a result, these people would not go in that area. One day, a brahmachari, a spiritual sadhu, was passing through that village, and he was going in the same direction. So the boys came running to him and said, "Hey, don't go that way. There's a poisonous snake there. It'll bite you. We know it's there." The sadhu said, "It's all right. I know some mantras. I can handle this." So as he went close, the snake came out, hissing, charging at him, and the sadhu chanted some mantras, and the snake, under the influence of that mantra, lay like a earthworm at his feet. The sadhu gave him some advice: give up this violent nature of hurting others. You shouldn't do this. But I'll also teach you how to overcome your violent, that swabhava that is there, by which you get angry and want to. So here's the mantra. Chant this, and I will come back, and then we'll meet again. Saying that, the snake received the instruction very seriously, and the sadhu went away. And the snake became very calm and silent and peaceful. And when the boys saw that he was not charging at them, not coming there, they saw that change. So they slowly came nearer and nearer, day by day. And one fine day, one of those caught hold of the snake by the tail and whirled it around and dashed him on the ground a couple of times, blood coming out of its mouth, and threw it away, thinking it's all dead. The snake somehow at night regained its consciousness, crawled into its hole, and when it recovered, because the bones and things were broken. At night it will come out. Now he had lost all his violence. He's not hunting for animals, living on some fruits and this and that. Anyway, in this way, 1 year passed, and the sadhu returned in that way. So he asked the boys, he met them again, say, what happened to the snake? He said, no, we killed it. Why? Something happened to it. After that, after meeting you, it stopped, wanting to bite us and all that. So we one of us, finished it off. The sadhu said, no, that can't be possible. He cannot die until the mantra that I have given will have its effect. So he went out to that place and called him out by the name it was given. And the snake crawled out of its hole, now reduced to almost skin and bones, and made salutations to his guru. And the sadhu was so surprised and said, what happened to you? You're all skin and bones. And the snake was quiet. He said, no, it's like nowadays, after listening to you, all that practicing ahimsa, I have become a vegetarian. I don't go for this meat and things. I'm just living on fruits and leaves and everything. Then the sadhu understood that can't be all. What else? And the sadhu says, the snake thinks, and he said, because it has the mantra and chanting, his swabhava had so become sattvic that he had even forgotten that these boys had beaten him once long time back. So he said, oh, now you know what happened. Those poor boys, they don't know that so much change had come over me that I had given up all that violence. And out of the ignorance, one of them one day playfully beat me. But they are ignorant boys, so you should not be angry with them. And so and therefore I don't hiss with them, I didn't bite them. Then the sadhu scolded him. He said, foolish fellow, I told you not to bite, but I did not ask you to hiss. At least you could have hissed to protect yourself. You don't need to inject your venom in others, but put up a pose that people will not take advantage of and do harm to you. So you see, this is a beautiful example that lays the little balance that ahimsa doesn't mean that you don't do harm to others, but also it means that you are strong enough or you are able to defend yourself in
We
such a
can't
way.
hear you, Swamiji.
Can you hear now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear.
We can hear. We can hear.
Yeah.
We can hear.
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Acha. So, okay. So, see, this is a beautiful, very practical example. It's not like you say, just practice ahimsa and therefore, let people take advantage of you, do harm to you, and you just suffer under that. Actually, you will suffer internally, and outside you are seeming to be very, very spiritual. But in your mind, you are hurting, you are suffering at your workplace because people are abusing you. It could be anything. So it is to be understood in that way. I hope that throws some light about the practice of ahimsa.
Yes, Swamiji.
It is to be practiced by, it is bolte hai, only if somebody is very strong, usi par shobha deta hai. A weak person, if he says hum ahimsa practice kar raha hai and therefore I want defend myself, then you say, are you joking? But a strong person says, then you say, I respect you. It applies for individuals, it applies for countries, it applies for nations also. If you are weak, everyone will kick you, thrash you around, treat you like a football or a carpet. If you're strong, then people will respect you. That's why Swami Vivekananda would say, strength is life, weakness is death. Spirituality doesn't mean that weaklings. We are strong, spiritually strong. Strong in the strength of our faith and our knowledge of the divine, of who we are. But that doesn't mean that we allow anyone and everyone to knock us around and make us miserable. Of course, we don't do that to others also. Anyone else, or are we ready to go to the next one? Shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, so in all this little bit of discussion and a little bit of reflection, what you will do is, in different situations in your life, when you're interacting with people, then think how we can practice this. Because It's only when you are interacting with others that this virtues can be practiced. Shanti. Shanti means forbearance. Titiksha. Putting up with something. Okay. So what does forbearance mean? Forbear. Suppose somebody is very, very forbearing. What is the characteristic of that person? What are you doing in that time? In Sanskrit, it's called titiksha. Sahanam sarva bhutana, sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikar purvakam. You've put up with all difficulties without reacting to people. How would that be a spiritual discipline? Bolo.
Well,
Maharaj, the practice of titiksha will strengthen your weakness or ability to withstand.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Keep on talking.
It will help you to stand on your own terms, on your values, stand firm on your values.
Forbearance. For example, let us say example. So you are at work and somebody teases you or troubles you. Okay. And you have decided I'm going to practice a bit of titiksha. If you did not do that, then you would be reacting to that person. You'll get angry, you give him tit for tat, all those type of things. And if you're practicing forbearance, then you're not reacting in that way. Would that be a practice of titiksha, forbearance?
Yes, Swamiji. Especially titiksha helps you to avoid the reaction. The reaction becomes more reflective. Sometimes the reaction happens because you act without thinking. So that can be that can be nullified by practicing this. Like this, I don't want to quote the story, but this story of Siddhartha when he was abused. There's when he was doing a prayer meditation, and then somebody the waysiders scolded him, and he didn't react at all. And what happened was after that, then he stopped abusing, and then he asked why he didn't. I don't take what is whatever you gave it me. It's still with you. So it is abuses are with you. We try to teach him. So I don't know the story that well, but this is what
that means you can throw it at me, but it won't. If I don't accept it, it doesn't affect me. So see, the world is constantly trying to act on us and force us to react. Isn't it? It could be people who might be trying to make us lose our cool.
Notice as Shriboto is coming to Singapore and transiting with Toronto.
Hello, somebody is talking, and Singapore one is here. I'm catching your voice here. Okay, so where did it go? Forbearance. Yeah, so the world is constantly trying to make us react to things. And every time we react to something, we lose we lose that energy, or we lose our balance to it, isn't it? For example, somebody is teasing you, okay, and you react to it by teasing back or whatever you say, then he has got you. Now you're dancing according to what that person says. But if you say, I'm not going to react to it, why? Because that's his view, his opinion. I know who I am, but I'm not going to respond to that. So you maintain his balance, and after some time, he might just stop and go away because he's not enjoying the fun, because you're not responding in that way. So you practice titiksha and freed yourself from that situation. But if you had reacted, then we get caught in this way. So what happens is we want that inner peace of mind, inner grounding in there, and the outside world, either it's people or environment or some physical change that is trying to drag our attention outside, engages, forcing to react to it. And if we can't hold that balance, then we get carried away. But in spiritual life, it's all about managing that energy, the energy that is flowing from the Supreme, passing from the ego, through the mind, through the senses, through the body actions, goes out into this world. And all these acts where we are letting that energy flow is a loss to us. So titiksha is something through which we harness that energy. It is building the dam that is preventing the water to go into the ocean. That energy is then transmuted, sublimated, and converted into a spiritual energy. But if we constantly fritter that away, then there's nothing much to do. So Sri Ramakrishna says, in Sanskrit alphabets, those who know Sanskrit, the last sa, sa, sha. Is 3 types of sha are there. Have you seen that? Okay. There are 3 types of sa. And so one is sa. The other one is, and the third one is, have you seen? They all sound like similar, pronounced during the different parts of the mouth where the tongue is touching, So he would say, sa, sa, sa. Jai soy. Soy means he forbears. Say roy. That means he survives. Jai na soy, tar nash hoy. That means if you can forbear and conserve that energy, you will survive. But if you can't forbear and you react to anything and everything, you just totally lost that energy, and you begin to then play and dance to the music of the outside world, because you're constantly reacting to the external situation. And your sense of freedom, we are then not free, we are sort of enslaved by the outside world. Titiksha means taking the power back into your own self and say, I'm not going to lose my inner footing, my inner grounding. I'm going to be anchored in my own higher self, so to say. Okay, so that is titiksha, and you'll find that plenty of opportunities for there to practice this at home, around in the community. But if you're alert to this idea, then it says, don't blame the other person. This fellow was trying to disturb me. You say, here's an opportunity for me to see if I can practice titiksha. Okay, and you might thank that fellow also for giving you this opportunity. You see, it's how you perceive this. You can turn any situation into your spiritual advantage and say, thank you for giving me that. I get a feedback. But if somebody has sort of made you lose your balance, then you get the feedback. I still have to do so much work on myself, because so easily I was pulled away by the world and I reacted to it. And thank you for showing that to me. So you see, then you are thankful. Otherwise, we are angry to that same guy. It's about now turning it spiritually around. The next one is very, very interesting and very, very important in spiritual life. Arjavam.
Just a small thing to note is that in that Shanti in the sloka explanation, we need just a dash there, right?
No, not dash. It is Shanti. It is written. It should be Shanti.
That's what. Yeah, dash.
It's a mistake, I think.
Yeah. Just a spelling mistake, Lara?
Yeah, spelling mistake.
In the notes.
In forbearance.
Yeah,
it says Shanti.
It says Shanti. It's
actually in the sloka.
Yeah. Shanti. Yeah. There's a typing error there. Yeah. Shanti. Then Arjavam. Arjavam means straightforwardness. In spiritual life, this is a great, great spiritual discipline. So, Sri Ramakrishna would tell in the Sanskrit, Mano me vachi pratishthitam. Let my mind be established in my speech, and let my speech be established in mind. That means what I say and what is in my mind and heart, they should be in harmony. There should not be duplicity in spiritual life. That means you should not feel something in your own heart and say something else outside. That means that would be a habit of telling a lie. And when you are not sensitive to this inner, if you get caught into this, then how can we approach truth through falsehood or through lies? So, arjavam, straightforwardness. Then the other extreme could be, or misuse of this, or understanding of this could be, that whatever you are seeing, or feeling, you are just telling anyone and everyone off the cuff. Giving my peace of mind or my view. I don't care. People might say, this is what I felt and I said it. I'm just being honest with myself. You find that type of people who go around being very, very abrasive, telling everyone off because that's how they feel, and hurting people in the process also. So the teaching here is that, look, it says, what's that? Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. Ma satyam apriyam bruyat. Satyam bruyat means speak. Speak the truth. Priyam, speak something that is pleasant to others also. But do not say something that is true but unpleasant. Ma satyam apriyam bruyat. What do you do that? Then you better keep quiet at that time. Because if you hurt somebody through speech, that is himsa. So think about it in our everyday life, how much we practice this straightforwardness and how much we don't practice it. You'll find that, For example, if somebody comes and has got a haircut or has given you a gift and is expecting a nice thank you and appreciation, you say, it's not something so nice, but you feel that you have to say that. And so it's so nice, so beautiful, I love it, and this and that. But in your heart, you're saying this, but in your heart, say, I don't need this. Really, why did he give this? So there is a conflict between what you feel in your heart and what you express. So
But
one has to...
That can't be helped. If somebody give something else to explain the present or something, if you don't like, you have to say, yeah, it is good. Otherwise, you will hurt the person's feelings.
But you don't feel it is good and you're telling a lie to yourself.
Yes, I know that. But what to do? This is a tricky situation. If you say to the person, oh, it's not nice, person will look at you. Are you mad or what? I brought it with so much love.
Let's have a discussion. So one is you have to give a reaction because the expectation that you have to tell it is nice when you don't feel it's nice also. Okay, to please that other person. But it's a lie.
But the person has spent money, whatever the person thought, whatever the purpose was, you don't know. But you really don't need or you like, but you still have to say thank you.
Do you have to say? That's the question. Anyone else?
Otherwise, it will be rude if you say in front of on the face of that person that it's not nice. I don't need to take it.
So that's one is you feel obliged that you have to say, and if you don't say, it is rude. So you'd rather tell a lie to please that other person, okay, because you want to be nice.
Otherwise, no other case one would like to lie, but on this particular case, it is very difficult to say it is not nice.
And let's say that's one view. Let's hear others. Anyone else? What would you do?
Is there a way is this important? Can we say no to the gift or do we have to take it?
You're asking or you're suggesting? So let's
I'm
have
asking.
I'm asking. Yeah, okay, carry on. Yeah.
I was just asking if there is a way we could just decline the gift politely, that thank you so much for your gesture, but I do not need it and I have no requirement for it.
That might hurt that person also, because he have declined, he has brought is expecting a big thank you and appreciation, whatever is there. And
or maybe just keep it with a thank you. That's it. Keep it with a thank you and you utilize it for something more important and someone who needs it.
So you could say, instead of saying so nice, is beautiful and wonderful, you could just say thank you and
Yeah,
keep it.
just say thank you and keep it, and then maybe use it for someone who needs it more, or for a better cause.
Jyoti, would that help you?
Ethically, that is also wrong. Passing on the present is also wrong as per my knowledge.
That is
I
your
want to know,
ethical.
what would you
If
like to
suppose
know?
suppose if you did not need something, so it happens in our case. Okay, some devotee comes and either has cooked some food or brought some clothes or something or some chocolate and this and that, and Swamiji, I have brought this here for you. Okay, what do? I know I don't want to eat that chocolate. Okay, so if I
But
say hello, so let me say, so what we say thank you, you brought it, but mentally I don't accept it for my own use. I'll pass it to somebody else. Another devotee will come and say, hey, here's some nice chocolate, have this. And that guy is happy with it. You see?
good point.
So it's about
Mentally don't accept, but you
yeah,
say
so
thank you.
it is not saying that you should not be thankful and grateful. Okay. That person has expressed a sentiment, his affection or whatever is there through this particular gift. It's not the gift, it's a sentiment that comes. You accept that sentiment that he or she values you, has remembered you, and is trying to express it in this way. Maybe the means is of not useful to you, but it's the sentiment that counts. So you thank for that sentiment and all those things. But if you don't feel it is something so wonderful and this and that, then you don't have to go overboard and try to.
No overboard, but it is, I like your point that you can say thank you, but not accepting mentally. That's good.
Yeah, because
I like that.
so basically you have not said something that is not consistent with your inner feeling. At the same time, you have worked that balance, the other part of it also. It's just about being a bit careful about what we say, isn't it? We're just being
And we
mindful.
even accept it and discuss it with them, that in future maybe we could deal with that sentiment in a different way, like
in another way, in a gentle way, without again hurting the sentiment and all those things. All right, come on, let us have, this is a very good discussion, because
Most of the time it is not possible, whichever way you say it, people don't like to hear that.
Okay,
well,
so
you have to judge the situation to see if that person can take the.
So here's another one example. That's a gift one. If I get somebody, so somebody goes out and buys a nice dress, okay, and comes and wears that, and of course they expect somebody to say and pass some comment, okay, or gets a nice haircut or something has got there, and you look at that and you don't find it so beautiful or this or that. All right, so how do you react? In your mind you feel, oh, this is really looking very odd.
In that case, you have to be honest to tell the truth, whatever it is. Otherwise, person will be having ego that I'm looking very nice when they are not.
Come on. See, you will see all these situations around everywhere. And we go around every day at office, at workplace, and commenting and talking in this way to tell people what they want to hear, basically. We say politically correct or socially correct, whatever is there.
Yeah.
And it becomes a habit, every time. So suppose somebody gets a haircut, looks terrible, okay? All these modern haircuts, what is that new haircut there? They put one sort of round and then everything is cut around it.
No idea.
I have seen this. This is a new one. The top part is there and then below it is all cut. There's some name for that. So the joke is, one son went and got this haircut and came home, and the father looked at that strange haircut and says, "Where did you get this haircut?" And he said, "At such and such a shop." "And how much did it cost you?" He said, $20. And then he said, so when are you going to go and get the rest of it cut? Anyway, so what do we do? Suppose somebody comes like that. Something is not looking nice. He expects you to praise. You see? Or she expects you to praise him. And you don't find it praiseworthy. What do? If you praise, then it's not telling what is in your heart. So you're not practicing arjom, straightforwardness. Sadhana?
I'm listening, Swamiji.
And do some talking, otherwise we're only talking. You people must be facing all this situation all the time. Bhavna?
I didn't like it, I wouldn't say anything. And since you mentioned haircut, I'll share my own haircut. I've got a short hairstyle. I went to a Ramayan session. My daughter criticized my hairstyle. Someone else praised it. So that's it. People are entitled to their opinion. It's okay.
That's good from your own, whether, of course, it's not only criticizing, commenting on others, it's about also accepting how others might comment on you.
Yes, because we have to accept that that person is doing what that person is liking. That I might not like that person's, say, brilliant yellow dress, but that person loves her yellow dress. I hate the color yellow, maybe, but she's entitled to wear the bright yellow dress.
Okay, so what do you say?
So I just say, I'm not expected to say anything, but if she asks me, I'll say, well, do you like it? Well, great for you. Good on you. That's it.
So that is still, so here basically what we are saying is, you're still true to yourself. Okay, it's not your view, it's about that particular person. And yet you are able to express a view that doesn't hurt that person's sentiment. But if the other way you said, oh, it's so lovely, I like it, wonderful, then that would not be straightforward. See, so it's about having that little bit of sensitivity and alertness about what we say before we jump and make any commitment or comment or something like that. So that what is, at the end of the day, in spiritual life, we have to be true to our own inner self. Otherwise, there's a false personality and all those type of things happens to form around us.
Sometimes it's a good thing that we, people, you will also lose people in your life. And I think you have to be prepared for it, because what people want to hear, you can't always tell them. And you sometimes need to filter people from your lives as well. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we are all walking on a different path. And that's it's all letting go. I feel that you have to let go along the journey.
But what if that person is near and dear to you? How do you let go?
Mentally, you probably have to let go. And physically, you probably can't let go, maybe. Yeah.
If a relationship is just based on pleasing people, it will eventually drain you.
Yeah, but sometimes it's difficult if it is somebody who is dear to you.
If a person is dear to you, we don't lie to them. We tell them the truth, and we tell them nicely. And there's no need to praise.
No, you can't say nicely to a person who is dear to you or closer to you, because if you are saying it nicely, it is obvious that you're just being nice to.
Like telling them nicely, you might not agree. They may ask you, do you like my dress? And say my daughter asks me, do you like my dress? I'll go, but I don't like it at all. But if you like it, go ahead and wear it. Something like that.
It's good to have this, because these are all practical things, And it's only
Yeah,
all
but
this.
it's not sometimes not as simple as a color or a haircut.
Mhm.
Yes.
The important thing is in because we are not only a social person now, trying to maintain good social relationships with world in the family and workplace and this, and we are spiritual aspirants. And one of the disciplines is that there has to be a harmony between what is in your own heart and what we speak. Vang me manasi pratishthitam, mano me vachi pratisthita. Shankar. So that is in one of the mantras. Vang me manasi pratisthita. Let my walk, my speech, be established in my mind or heart. And what is in my heart, let that resonate and be harmony with what I speak. That means that internal harmony is to be cultivated so that that inner balance will be there. Otherwise, we have this external personality that saves the external world, and you have your internal thing which is disconnected, and that disharmony comes. And that's where we, have all these conflicts internally. Outside, yes, we are nice. Inside, it's all disintegrated or leads to that. So you have to find your own ways in different situations. Just be alert what you say. Sometimes you can still be nice without going overboard and all those things. And sometimes you might not say anything. Somebody asks you, what is it like? And if you keep quiet, they get an idea. Maybe he didn't like, but he didn't say anything. They might reflect and say, maybe it's right. I'll give you an example where we go wrong. So a child goes into school, kindergarten, and he does things. Not everyone is equally talented. He draws some picture, and the teacher says, wow, this is so beautiful, so wonderful. And sing some song which is terrible. And everyone is praising and praising and praising. And because she is getting, of course, we require to encourage them and all those things. But when we go overboard and tell them that they are or possess something they really don't have, and they totally believe you because the elders, the teachers, and everyone is saying, they grow into people who have got a very overinflated idea of who they are, because everyone has been saying, and when they go out into the world, and that's when reality will hit them, and they find out that they are not really, because life, you can't fool around with life. Life will come and tell you where you are, and they are not able to then reconcile themselves. In the school, I was getting A grade, B grade, everyone was praising I'm the most brilliant person there. When I come into the workplace, I find that no one is paying attention to me, my degree and this and that. He suddenly feels that they are not appreciative of it. Maybe he thinks I should change my company or go to another place. But later, sooner or later, he comes to the understanding that his self-conception or whatever personality that he had was not really the truth. He believed everyone, and then it hits him, and many people sometimes struggle to regain that balance. You find that type of things also happen. It's better to tell them that, hey, look, this is not your best. You can do better in this way. This is where you shine. Walk along that line. This is where you excel. But you are not expected to be best in everything. And that's all right also. To accept our limitations is all right also. So I say that because many times we see among the youth, they struggle with that, because everyone is sort of telling a lie to them, and they accept it as there's a truth about themselves. And when the reality hits them, they just do not know what to do with themselves. Then they become depressed, or they lose their self-esteem, as they say, because it was built on something that was not true. So truthfulness, that is very, very important. Just be a bit alert in our everyday life about how we approach these things. I know that different views and opinions would be there, but it's good to think along those lines to practice. What do you say?
Good.
Very good. So we just completed a few of them. Okay. Next time is Acharya Upasanam, Saucham, purity, and then Sthairyam, steadfastness, and Atma Vinigraha, control. So Acharya Upasanam doesn't mean service to a spiritual teacher in a very, this is straight away. Acharya means a teacher, doesn't mean a particular person, any source of knowledge. And your own mind and your own higher self is really your ultimate teacher, the God or divine in you. Upasanam, asana means position or posture or seat, taking a seat. Upasanam means sitting nearby. That means keeping the mind near the source of knowledge. So it doesn't have to be a physical person that you are sitting there and serving Acharya. It really means the knowledge or the source of knowledge, and the highest source of knowledge is within ourselves. Reflect on that. That would be the sort of meaning. We'll carry on from here next week.
Yeah.
So please think on, now that we know how we are approaching this, taking one at a time, reflecting, so you might take a few of them and dwell on that during the day and in different ways. We have to process it. That exercise we need to go to. And because you will think about it so seriously, when that opportunity will come, that alertness would be there and says, here's an opportunity for me to apply that. Then these teachings would be useful in our life. And every time you apply, you feel good about it. Oh, I learned it in the Gita. We thought, discussed it. Here I've applied it. So how do we develop that alertness? Okay, then.
Okay, Swamiji.
Thank you so much.
Very good. So let us chant the mantra. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Yorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tassat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.